The Pontifical Gregorian University hosted a debate earlier this week focused on woke culture. The Acton Institute, together with the university, sponsored the event. It featured more than 300 leaders in church social thought. EWTN Vatican Bureau Chief Andreas Tannhauser had the opportunity to interview one of the participants, Dr. Michael Miller.
Michael, could you tell us a little bit more? Why do you organize a conference on truth, justice, and liberty?
I think the big questions today are what does it mean to be a human person? And there's a lot of confusion about actually what it means to be an embodied, embedded person. And there's a lot of different visions about the human person that are out, whether it's materialism, the person as a scourge for the environment, or transhumanism, or even this idea of plastic anthropology, that the person has no nature or no essence. And also this idea of the person as a commodity that just can be traded. And I think when we think about truth and justice and liberty, if we're going to think about it clearly, we first have to think about what does it mean to be a human person. And as John Paul II always explained and taught, the human being is not an object, but a subject to be respected and not socially engineered or not manipulated, but always should be the protagonist of their own story of development.
You chose to place this conference here in Rome. You organized it here in Rome. Do you find on the notions of wokeism, extreme relativism, is that the same in the US as here in Europe?
Well, I think it's a pretty broad European and American problem, but not only that. I mean, as Pope Francis says, there's a problem of ideological colonization. And so you see these ideas of really plastic anthropology or certain kind of progressive understandings of the family and et cetera, not just in the United States, not just in Europe, but being spread through, say, for example, foreign policy or foreign aid or various other things. So I think it's a problem that we all have to contend with. And as you know, one of the themes is that we're in an anthropological struggle. Like, what does it mean to be a human being? And the Christian understanding, the Catholic understanding of the human person is really, John Paul says, like, he transformed the world in ancient times. And it can do that same thing today. And so I think this is why there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of despair. People are nervous, people are not sure who they are, and I think a lot of it comes from this, in fact, fundamental question of what does it mean to be a person?
What's your response, or how do you see the church responding to these developments in society?
Well, I think the church has key things to do, as it always has done. I mean, I think St. Augustine said something like, don't wish to live in the future, don't live in the past, be content with where God put you. And the church has the message, I would say, the good news, the gospel. Part of the gospel is the good news, the gospel about the human person, what it means to be a human person. So I think the church has to teach anthropology. I think continue to teach and revive maybe even the theology of the body that John Paul so developed so well. The church has to be, as Pope Benedict said, the defender of reason. Pope Francis again talks about ideological colonization. So we're in the debate over what does it mean to be a person. So the church has this, and I think also the church is teaching, promoting the gospel and the liturgy, which is a non-linguistic way of catechesis. That is, it teaches the beauty and the dignity of the person creating the image of God, not necessarily through words, right, but through the beauties of liturgy and art. So the Catholic Church has always had the message of Christ to the world, and that's the good news that transforms so many lives. I know it transformed mine, probably transformed yours, and so the Catholic Church always has something to say and is always relevant.